Alright, top 3 mid-mage builds right now, currently in patch 29.6 for sure. Alright, so... Alright, there's a, here's the start of every single build. I will go over the start of every build, and then I'll go into the full build. Alright, so the first start, there is a Book of Thoth build start. And with this start, you want to go 2 health and 1 mana. I can complete actually, other way around, you want to go 1 health, 2 mana. And this is your start. This is going to be your normal start for this build. And this build builds into Book of Thoth, Warlock Staff. In this order, by the way. You go Warlock second because Warlock second, it's not important to stack the item. It's basically efficient on purchase. And then you go Obshart third, Reaver fourth. You go Obshart third because with a build when you're double stacking, your ability damage is going to be the most important rather than proccing items. And Reaver just because it's super efficient, and with Book of Thoth it's 125 power, and Book of Thoth is just OP for mages. It's the best item in the game. And then the last item is situational. You can either go a Mirrodin or you can go a Soul Gem. If you don't think you can get 2600 gold, then you always get a Soul Gem. It's just more cost efficient. And your upgrade is usually, with this build especially, always going to be Pendulum of Ages. Yes, you don't have CDR for a while, but with the gods that utilize this build, that is what you're going to want to do. And then you'll have 40% CDR late game when you have a red pod. Once you red pod it up, that is going to be the build. I can stack it up and show some damage numbers. We'll just go raw bot here. I guess damage numbers doesn't really matter, but 548 on ability, kind of juicy.
First blood.
Raw bot, I mean damage numbers doesn't matter. It's just the efficiency. The problem with it, or like the downside of this build, is that you're always going to be trying to stack up your build, and then sometimes you can get into a weird situation where like you can't get it going. It's just a very, very slow build, and usually for ranked, I wouldn't recommend doing this build. Unless the god is just going to be using it, but for this build specifically, it's very situational. I don't highly recommend it in ranked, but if you want to do it and you think you can get away with it, definitely do it. So yeah, that's the first build. The second build is going to be Conduit Gem start with Chronos Pendant tier 1, and then 1 health, 1 multi. Unless you're like a burning mana god like Merlin, for example, or something like that, then you can get that. And pretty important to know if your Soul Lander will have pressure to get totems. When you get into a game, just make sure you ask if you're a totemer. Okay? Totem's pretty important. Once you can go with this, you just can't like be really aggressive because you're down like technically a pot. But basically once you're at Lost Artifact tier 2,
this will help me protect all that is good.
back, you'll have 10 seconds left on your red, and you can either go up and do your green buff on spawn, and then go back to mid-wave and then red, or you don't back, do your green buff directly on spawn, go back mid-wave, and then you just need your jungler to help you with the red. But if you have tier 2 pendant, then you can solo your red without your jungler, which is pretty important. So yeah, so the full build for this is going to be Chronos Pendant.
I feel even more powerful.
You can go a bunch of different ways with this build. Here you can either go Staff of Mirrodin, you can go the OG build of Soul Gem here, or if you need anti-heal, you can go Divine Ruin. Personally, I've been going Staff of Mirrodin. That item is very, very good right now. Then you go into a little Reaver, because this build is a proc build, so you want to proc as much as you can. Go into a Shard. This gives you 30% CDR, 40% on your first ability. And then you go a little Soul Gem here last. And then your build cover is really, really good, especially when you get Conduit or Gem of Focus upgrade. Then your proc items are hitting really, really hard. You're very safe. You have your 40% CDR. And yeah, you're just a big button masher button that does a lot of damage. And you just spam poke. You have double proccing items, and basically you don't have to stack anything. You kind of like on a more display similar damage numbers, you just don't have burst.
Double
Gem of Focus. Once you get to Gem of
spree.
Focus upgrade, this build feels so good. Usually, by the time you're getting Gem of Focus, you won't have Soul Gem. You'll be in between. You'll have like a shard here, and you'll be on Conduit.
With this blessing, I feel.
And then you always want to be wanting to go Gem of Focus over any last item that you can possibly go. Other last items you can go instead of Soul Gem if you want. You can go E-Staff. You can go Soul Gem, or you can get Divine Rune if you need anti-heal, or like a Magus. I would never really go Deso. Really wouldn't go Magus either. So yeah, that's this full build. This is for more like button spammers or anything like that. Pretty important on certain gods to be button spammers. Usually it's pretty good. It's not like a super bursty meta. The more poke you have, the more annoying that you can end up being. So yeah, like a lot of zoning that you can do with this. Early game fight you don't really have because your Chronos Pendant obviously very low power. Mirrodin Spike also is not the best. If you really want to fight early, then I would suggest just going a flat pen item, because then at least you're just hitting a squishy. But Mirrodin will scale better into the late game. When you have Mirrodin, especially a god that really utilizes the ult transform, then I would highly suggest going Mirrodin and gods that use it, just because ability resets, really low cooldowns, 3 seconds on each of these, and you can button again. If it's timed with Chronos Pendant properly as well, like you'll have buttons up every 2 seconds for double rounds, which is just super, super important. So, yeah, that's another build that you can do. And then, this build kind of has gone away a little bit, I think. I haven't really seen anybody building it. But I notice people go Sands. It's just a similar start. But this time you go with Sands. I guess technically you can go Warlock start here, and then you don't really need a multi here. So you just go one of each. You should be safe enough in mid. You're going to be clearing a little bit slower. But then once you get going on this build, it's pretty good. You basically go Warlock staff here, into Karen's coin, into Reaver. Basically this just covers your 30% pen. I'm not the personally biggest fan of this build. I don't really get it too much, but yeah, so you have this curve here, and then you go into a Mirrodin, and then you go into, some people move the build around, but at this point when you're here you have 40% CDR plus your Reaver, and then you go into Pendulum of Aegis, you get your items online, and then last item again can be an E-Staff, it can be a Soul Gem. Personally, I'm just a Soul Gem fiend. I think the item is so good late game, especially if you're getting the little heal that you can get. It's just super, super good. But yeah, this is a different version of the build. Oh, you're right, G-Shaw. Okay, this is gonna be a top 4 mage build. I forgot about one build. That build I'm not the biggest fan of though. I think it's like okay. It's just kind of weird curve. Like your Karen's going second doesn't really help you with anything. So it's kind of a weird curve, but it can work. Certain gods utilize it. Some people do it on Thoth, for example. But yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be that build. Okay, and then let's do the more build. So it's going to be Sands tier 1. And you're gonna go multi here. The thing with this build is it's a lot harder to get your tier 2 item, just due to the fact that it costs more on a base. So I would highly recommend going, or just going this build, and you're just gonna have to really greed your farm. You can go mana pot
With this,
if you're gonna be a mana spammer, but you just back whenever you can get your cursed orb. It's really important to get this tier 2 item, so you can start like farming a little bit faster, moving a little bit faster. So yeah, that's just a little important thing. So the full build for this is going to be, this is pretty dependent. Obviously, if you're facing a healer, you go Divine. If you're not, you can get away with going a Soul Gem. You can also go Mirrodin. You can go into Reaver here. Go into Shard. Finish off your Pendulum. Then go into a Soul Gem. You can go into an E-Staff. And again, if it's late game, you can go into Divine Rune. You can go into a Magus. Personally,
I
again,
feel
as
even more
always,
powerful.
I'm always going Soul Gem. I think it's just too good of an item. Late game, you have so much power with Soul Gem. It just feels so good to have, especially when you're being dove. It's a lot of survivability. But if it's like a heavy, beefy comp and a lot of CC, E-Staff, of course, is going to be very valued. 20% CCR. So yeah, that's going to be an important thing to have. If it's a heavy CC, if there's a lot of health on their team. A lot recently in this meta, people aren't really running those like super tanky health-wise. Warrior solos or Guardian solos or anything like that. So E-Staff value kind of a little bit lower. And if you're looking to just burst the frontliner, like the one frontliner that's actually tanky, then Soul Gem is always going to do that better than E-Staff will. So yeah. And then overall, the curve is pretty good on this build. It's a little bit expensive with Dual Orb and Muirden and Reaver on your first 3 items, but basically with this build, you just want to be farming. You could even swap this out. If you're not a Muirden fan, you can go Coin, and you go full MS build, and you just have Doom Orb Coin into Reaver, into Shard, and you're 40% CDR. You're very, very, very fast. As you can see here, 475 MS when you full stack Doom Orb. You're just a really fast boy. And yeah, you're fast, you're hard to chase down, you do a lot of damage. The curve is a little bit weird, but Coin is at least cheaper than Muirden on curve, but you just don't have a CDR for a while. So yeah. Yep. Alright, so that's all the builds, I believe. I don't think I'm missing anything. Well, hopefully this helps. I've been getting a lot of questions on the YouTube comments, so hopefully this helps out with everything, and hopefully everybody can learn something or learn how to build on just different gods. You can try it on different gods that you like. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, comment below of what you would like to see, and yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Bye.